What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and welcome to today's Finest for March 3rd, 2018, fueled, as always, by NerdTeas, and NerdTeas will play a big role in today's episode. Today's blend is root beer float, and you might be asking, how do they put a root beer float into a hot tea? They have tea magicians working at NerdTeas. And make sure you stay tuned through the episode because I'm going to be giving you another chance to win a $10 credit towards your first or next purchase of NerdTeas just by watching this episode and being subscribed to the channel. So like I said, NerdTeas is going to play a big role in today's episode, but first, of course, due diligence. Let's see the sub count. And yeah, you know how we talked about that mental barrier, the most difficult one to get over? Well, we're here. Sub count went down by 1 since the last episode, and it happens. There was one episode, I think, where the sub count didn't change. It was because I gained 1 and I lost 1, so the total count didn't change. But sub count went down by 1. And luckily, things like this, I can take, and I do take, as great motivators. So to whoever it was that unsubbed, I don't begrudge you because actually it's going to make me better and it's going to make me work harder. Also, before we get going, folks, don't forget to follow the channel on Snapchat, BWF_902 on Snapchat. Get some behind-the-scenes stuff you can only see there. Snapchat exclusives. Make sure you follow the channel. BWF_902. So like I said, NerdTeas is going to play a big role in the episode today because I'm going to talk about my top 5 favorite NerdTeas blends. Now you can probably fit out maybe number 1 and number 2 if you've been following the show all the way along, but there's a lot of great blends on NerdTeas. Some stuff that maybe I haven't even drank on this show yet. It's entirely possible. Here's my top 5. Once again, this is at least the littlest bit self-serving because I want you to shop at NerdTeas. I want you to support Ruby and the whole NerdTeas crew. And I want you to use my promo code BWFinest to save yourself 15% at checkout. Free shipping in Canada on any orders over $50. Great exchange rate for my American friends. I want you guys to try NerdTeas because I'm passionate about it. I love it. I believe in these folks. I really want you to try it. But we'll kick things off with my number 5 favorite NerdTeas blend. That is lemon ginger. Reading from my copious notes, lemon ginger is a green tea with real ginger root, lemongrass, and lemon myrtle. Folks, lemon ginger is a blend that I have come to crave when I am sick. I promise you, you have 1 cup of lemon ginger, and the next time you get a cold or a flu, something that's keeping you in bed, something that's got your stomach upset, you are going to want to just lay there and guzzle lemon ginger because it's just that feeling of comfort and happiness from like a nice hot lemon-based tea is going to give you when you're feeling under the weather. I'm always going to be keeping some lemon ginger close by for those times when I get sick. My number 4 favorite NerdTeas blend is Golden Apple Spice. Golden Apple Spice is another green tea, real apple pieces, cinnamon, and rose and safflower petals. What are these guys doing? They're just feeding me flower petals to drink. See, I listen. I hear you back there. This just reminds me of Thanksgiving dessert, and it's such a delicious blend, and it's just got that taste of a great piece of apple pie, an American tradition, mind you, a great piece of apple pie with a nice little cinnamon touch on it. My number 3 favorite NerdTeas blend, and I know I've drank this one on this show, is Strawberry Power Up. Strawberry Power Up is our 3rd straight green tea. It has got real strawberry pieces, real papaya pieces, green mate, which if you think, especially if you live in California, but I think it's sort of across the states, you know that energy drink yerba mate? This is a green version of mate, the same kind of mate that's in the yerba mate energy drink. and gynostemma leaves, very similar to ginseng. Folks, Strawberry Power Up is, and this is the only way I'm going to describe it to you, energy in a cup. It's like a strawberry energy drink, and it tastes great, and you have a cup of it, and boom, you're back in the game. You're ready to go. My number 2 favorite NerdTeas blend, the runner-up, the penultimate, watermelon. Now, the watermelon blend, we're getting away from just a strict green tea, is an oolong tea, which is a Chinese tea. I think the literal translation is like something like black dragon tea or something, so it sounds badass. But I like to call it twisted tea, because when you look at the leaves, the actual tea leaves, they've been really heavily dried out, and they're basically twisted, kind of scrunched up. They look like little dragon eggs, like little dragon pods. So it's an oolong tea with papaya pieces, plum, and safflower petals. This is my favorite blend that NerdTeas makes that you can have either hot or cold. This makes an incredibly tasty iced tea, which would be like you could drink this straight time from June 1st all the way through the end of August. This is going to be my summertime go-to. So I'm going to have to try somehow to order a ton of watermelon, because this is going to be my summertime go-to if I can help it at all. Again, incredible hot, incredible cold. The watermelon blend does it all, but it couldn't quite get to number 1. I'm sure you've guessed it by now, my number 1 favorite NerdTeas blend. I've been pumping its tires and singing its praises ever since I had my very first cup. Chocolate cake. And, sadly, I don't think she makes it anymore. But I'm going to pump its tires one more time anyway. Chocolate cake is a caffeine-free rooibos tea, and I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Rooibos tea is basically a red tea. So when you think you have green tea, white tea, black tea, well, rooibos tea is a red tea. Again, as I mentioned, caffeine-free, honeybush, rosebuds, creamy caramel pieces, and real chocolate chips. Chocolate cake is the ultimate sweet tooth blend. It's the ultimate guilt-free, enjoy it any time because it is caffeine-free. You can have a cup of that at 10 o'clock at night and it's not going to keep you awake. And chocolate cake is the only blend that I've had so far that I'll actually mix with a little bit of milk, because it really brings out the creaminess of it, kind of enhances the chocolate flavor a little bit. Just a little bit of milk, you've got yourself one incredible cup of tea, and it's my number 1 favorite NerdTeas blend. And now, as I promised, I'm going to give you the opportunity once again to win a $10 credit towards your next or first purchase from NerdTeas. All you need to do is you have to be subscribed to my channel, and I can see no more no hidden subscriptions. I have to be able to see that you are subscribed to my channel, and you have to comment on this video. I want you to go to nerdteas.ca. Even if you're not going to make a purchase, go to nerdteas.ca. I want you to look through their blends, and I want you to tell me in the comment section below which blend you would be most excited to try. Find something that really tickles your fancy. Let me know in the comment section below, and I will be randomly selecting one person who has made their comment on the video and is subscribed to the channel, and that person is going to win a free $10 credit towards NerdTeas. There's nothing holding you back from making your purchase from nerdteas.ca. I've just laid down 5 great blends. She has got literally dozens of other incredible blends. You're going to find something you're going to love. Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite is or what you're most excited to try. So if you'll remember, the other hook for today's episode was I was going to talk to you a bit about teaching, because as anyone who follows me on Twitter knows, or people that know me personally, know me in real life, I'm a teacher. I'm a licensed teacher in the province of Nova Scotia, but I don't teach anymore, and I haven't for a number of years. And I kind of thought this is a bit of an interesting conversation. It'll let you know a little bit more about me, so why not talk about it? When I was growing up, I was one of those weird kids who, by about grade 10, I knew what I wanted to do, I knew who I wanted to be, and I knew exactly where I wanted to go to make those things happen. I knew I wanted to be a writer, and I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And in order to be a teacher, I said, okay, I know what I want to teach. I want to teach history. I was incredibly passionate about history, and I still am. I wanted to teach English, incredibly passionate, obviously, about writing and language and things like that. So I knew what I wanted to teach, and I knew where I wanted to go. And that was Mount St. Vincent University in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is ultimately where I wound up going. I went there for 4 years, got an advanced Bachelor of Arts degree in history with minors in English, political studies. I was really catering towards exactly what I wanted to do. Now, in order to teach, you need more than that. You need what's called a Bachelor of Education. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to go to Memorial University in Newfoundland, which is a province just next door to Nova Scotia. Circumstances happened that I was conditionally accepted to go there, but my grade point average dropped. I believe it was something like 7/100ths of a point or something like that, and my conditional acceptance was revoked because there's a ton of competition to go to a really great school. And this is where I got my first taste of America. I actually moved down to Presque Isle, Maine. And I went to the University of Maine at Presque Isle. They have a 1-year program, which is actually a Bachelor of Science, the way that they classify it. So what I technically have is a Bachelor of Science in secondary social studies education. And the one thing that I loved about UMPI is there's so many Canadians, because all of the education programs in Canada are incredibly competitive. So you have all these Canadian students filtering down to a pretty decent education program in the University of Maine system, which I believe is like a Div 3 NCAA school or something like that. All right, great. I'm a teacher. I passed the praxis exams after I think I had to take the exam 4 or 5 times to get the proper score. But you know what? That doesn't matter. Now I've got it. Now what do I do? And basically, and this is for anybody considering getting into teaching, once you have all your credentials and you're licensed and you have all that good stuff, substituting. That's what you do. When I was a substitute teacher, and I guess technically I still am, but when I was actively doing it, I always referred to myself as a professional liar. And I didn't say that in a derogatory way. But I'm pretty sure I stole that line from somewhere. But the idea of the substitute being like, okay, one day I know what I'm talking about when it comes to chemistry. The next day I'm a fully capable gym teacher. The next day I'm teaching home ec when I may not even know how to cook. That's what I mean when I say professional liar. A substitute teacher has to pretend that they're an expert in anything and everything, at least the good substitute teachers. There's a lot of other substitute teachers that will literally just babysit. And that was part of the problem for me. Substitute teaching, after working so hard to get to where I thought I wanted to be, was so incredibly unfulfilling to me on a professional level. I meet so many great people on a daily basis, still do. Like when I was a substitute, I met great people who were students, faculty, people that I considered peers, coworkers, became friends. I met so many great people. So on that level, it was incredibly fulfilling because I met so many incredible people that I'm still friends with today, people who may in fact be watching this video. But every day walking into a classroom that was not my own to teach things that I didn't prepare to students that I don't know on any more than, this is your name, okay, I'm going to try to remember your face for the rest of today before I'm going to go somewhere else tomorrow and try to remember a bunch of other faces. It was just tremendously unfulfilling to me. And I went through that unfulfilledness for about 5 years off and on. Now, I wasn't a tremendously active substitute, but even so, I was a substitute for about 5 years. And it just never felt right. It never felt fulfilling to me. Add on top of that the fact that every time that I would apply, and this is kind of going into business for myself, but it's important to the story. Every time that I would apply for something any longer, maternity, long-term sub, term positions, anything like that, I think in probably over 100 jobs that I would have applied for in about a 5-year period, I was never even long listed, much less shortlisted for any of them, because individual substituting days don't really matter other than the paycheck. And that's part of the problem. I was making good money. It's good money. But other than making good money and I guess getting the practical experience of having the day in the classroom, as far as furthering your career, it means jack. It means virtually nothing. Most people's suggestion as the cure for this is, why don't you go out west? They need a ton of teachers out west. Why don't you go up north? They need a ton of teachers up north. You can get isolation pay if you go far enough. There's places that really need teachers. And you're not wrong. But that's also not me. In terms of teaching, I constantly weighed a battle between being where I want to be, which is in my hometown, I love this place, versus go where the work is. Part of me says, I put so much time into it, I owe it to myself to go where the work is. But at the same time, I know who I am. And who I am is Nova Scotian. And that's where I want to be. And going somewhere where I know I don't want to be, even if I would love it, maybe I would wind up loving it. But there's always a part of me that's going to say, I don't want to be here. Like, I want to be where I want to be, which is in Nova Scotia. So that was the constant battle of weighing it between go where the work is, because there is work, go where the work is, or be where you want to be. That was a decision that I made, and my decision was, I want to be where I want to be. So I'm here. And then on top of that, you have the last 2 years of the Nova Scotian education system and the basically toxic relationship that's been developed between the Nova Scotia government and the Nova Scotia teachers. A little self-serving, but for me, it started a couple of years ago when my high school, my alma mater, the place where I spent 6 years of my life and discovered that I wanted to be a teacher and this was what I wanted to do. They were previously a junior-senior high school, grade 7 through grade 12. The decision was made to take 10, 11, and 12 out of that school and move it to another school in the area, Parkview Education Center, what they like to call a super school. It gets fed into by all of these other outlying schools. I won't bore you with the intense details of this debate about whether that should happen or not. Basically, my interpretation of it was our school board spent a bunch of money, and the way that the school board could justify the fact that they spent a bunch of money was to take the senior high students out of Bridgewater and put them into Parkview, despite the fact that now, technically, our town doesn't have its own high school. It does, but it doesn't, but it does, but it doesn't. That left me with an incredibly bitter taste in my mouth. It really did, because the decision was made for money. There was no transparency in it whatsoever. Even a judge found that, okay, the school board followed their own process correctly, but their process was flawed in about these baker's dozen different ways, but at least they followed their flawed process, so go ahead. And from there, essentially, it got no better. Our teachers went on strike for justified reasons with their contract negotiation. They're in a union. They have the right to do that. They went on strike, and our provincial government just said, nope, here's your contract. We're imposing it on you. You're back to work now, or you're illegally striking. And again, it's just like, so what was the point of all this if you're just going to legislate teachers back to work? It was an incredibly bitter battle. And again, it's just bitterness. Personally, and just that taste in your mouth of the thought of teaching and the education system in this province, it became bitter, and it's very clear that there's a real battle there between the provincial government, our premier, and our teachers. And then, of course, most recently, the Glaze report, now sweeping reforms in the Nova Scotian education system. Our union, once again, threatening to strike. It looks like they are not going to do that now because the government kind of rolled back some of the suggestions from the report. But again, it's always a battle. It's a constant battle. And I look at it now, especially what's happened over the last 2 years, from the outside looking in, and I'm in no rush to go back to that. Maybe I'll go back to it someday. I always have it. It's something that can't be taken away from me. I'm a teacher. I'm just not teaching right now. All right, folks, that just about wraps up today's episode of Today's Finest. Again, March 3rd, 2018. But here's your hook for next time. Your hook for next time, again, a little bit depends on the mail, because I do have something else coming that I will be unboxing on an episode of Today's Finest. It's not hockey cards. It's something a little bit different this time. And I can talk about something that is a great passion of mine at the same time. But if that's not here, I want to talk a little bit about my steps, and I put emphasis on that word for a reason, my steps towards better health. Obviously, I'm a big guy. I'm a heavy guy. There's health concerns that come with that as a person gets older. I mean, I'm only 33, but I also look at someone who is an absolute hero of mine, Kevin Smith, director of Clerks and a bunch of great movies that I absolutely love, the Smodcast Network podcasts that I love, a creator that I absolutely am inspired by almost on a daily basis. Just recently had a heart attack, and it was very scary, and he's only, I think he hasn't hit 50 yet, so it can happen. So I'm always looking at how I can even improve my health in smaller ways, manageable ways, ways that are, they're going to add up to a positive. And my steps, once again, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what my plan is for this summer, building off what I've been doing for the last couple of years. That's going to wrap it up, folks. Today's Finest, March 3rd, 2018. Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled, as always, by NerdTeas. Once again, folks, go to nerdteas.ca. Look at their blends. Let me know in the comments section below what your favorite blend is, or the one that you would want to try the most. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'm going to be picking somebody between now and the next episode of Today's Finest, which is probably going to be around the 15th, 16th of March, because we've got NHL playoffs predictions, and then we've got the March Madness tournament coming right behind it. So we're going to be looking at sometime, not this upcoming weekend, but probably next weekend. That'll be around that time. I'll be picking somebody that comments on this video with their favorite or most anticipated NerdTeas blend to win a $10 credit for NerdTeas. So make sure you do that. We will see you next time. And again, NHL playoffs predictions coming down the pipe. March Madness predictions coming down the pipe. It's an exciting time of year, and we'll see you next time.